Middle East between Israel and Hamas. This phase one seems to be taking shape. What are you hearing about this and how we got to this point?
It's extraordinary. I really think that this just shows the difference in leadership of having somebody who is respected around the world, no matter what people say. And it's not only that it looks like he's going to have the hostages released, those who are alive and all those who have perished, but the fact that he has a large part of the Arab world also as part of this, in cooperation with Israel. This is a game changer. And
it could change the face of the Middle East if it holds.
Yes, which means changing the face of the world. And that requires real leadership. It also requires people understanding that the United States is strong and is willing to support our allies. This would have not happened if what happened before in the previous administration that was constantly pressuring Israel to back down and back off. No, this president has been with Israel, let Hamas know this is it. If you don't do the right thing, we're going to eliminate you, in essence. And then the Arab world, they have responded very, very well to these U.S. efforts. So this is a game changer. Let's see what happens, because you're still dealing with a terrorist group, Hamas. But the fact that we've gone this far is something that I think many people didn't expect.
Okay, on to the government shutdown, because you are on the Appropriations Committee, which essentially is in charge of some federal spending.
Yes.
And the government is shut down now in its second week.
Correct.
And the blame game is going on. The Democrats are blaming the Republicans the Democrats. You have said that the House has done its job, and now it's up to the Senate. Is there any light at the end of the tunnel?
I hope so. Look, here's the thing. This whole thing about blaming to me, that's irrelevant. The bottom line is that we're shut down. We shouldn't be shut down. We should be negotiating. Now, a couple of the facts. Number one is that the House passed a clean extension just to the middle of November, the same extension that the Democrats voted for in March. In essence, no real changes except for some technical changes, dates, that kind of thing. So it's the same thing that they voted for in March. I don't know why something that they said was good in March is now evil now. Point number one. They then came up with the fact, the health care, the increased subsidies on health care go away, so therefore we have to deal with this now. Otherwise we'll shut down the government. But here's the interesting thing. This extension to keep the government open was just to the middle of November. The Obamacare increased subsidies don't expire to the last day of December. So what's the issue here? Why shut down if you could have continued to negotiate, keep the government open, and the subsidies would have still been there? You
have been part of several administrations that have had government shutdowns.
Yeah, and they're all stupid.
Have you ever voted in favor of shutting down the government?
There have been some shutdowns that have been done, I think, in a really irresponsible way, but pushed by some Republicans. I have been against those, have voted against those, and this one that has been now pushed by the Democrats and Schumer is equally as stupid, equally as irresponsible. But you know what this does show you, which not a lot of people are focused on. So, all of what Schumer is saying is that we have to continue the increased subsidies of Obamacare, because otherwise health care rates are going to skyrocket.
Right.
By the way, health care rates are going to skyrocket. Let's assume, let's be devil's advocate, that nothing happens, Congress doesn't act at all, and that those additional subsidies expire. It would go back to the Obamacare normal subsidies, because remember, these increases were done because of COVID. That was the excuse.
Right.
So wait a second. So what the Democrats are saying is that if we go back to Obamacare, that it would be disastrous for the American people. Now here's the thing, Jackie. They make a point. What it does prove is that the Obamacare that was supposed to lower rates, keep rates really, really low and make it accessible to anybody and everybody, was an absolute lie, a sad joke to the American people. So therefore, the Democrats, after COVID and during COVID in 2021 and 2022, increased the subsidies to artificially keep Obamacare lower than it actually really is. And now they're saying, if we go back to Obamacare rates, it is catastrophic. So let's just get something clear. That was all big lie. It was a lie. It was a sad joke on the American people. It actually increased rates dramatically. And now what they're saying is, if we don't subsidize everybody, then it's catastrophic.
But let me ask you something,
Yes.
because they're billing this as a healthcare showdown.
Correct.
Democrats are. Would you agree that something needs to be done?
Healthcare is unaffordable for so many because Obamacare was a sham, it was a lie, and the same people that are lying about what's happening now were the ones that lied to the American people about
But
the
will you
benefits
negotiate
of Obamacare.
on that point?
Everything is negotiable. That's what we do every single day. But in order to do that, Jackie, we have to be open for business. And again, the extension was just a clean extension to keep negotiating through the middle of November. These subsidies that they claim is the end of the world if they go away don't expire until the last day of December. The math doesn't add up. This is a show. But look, the issue is not to do the blame game. The issue is let's open up the government. All that has to happen is Mr. Schumer has to just vote for the clean, short-term extension that the House already passed. Then we can negotiate about all of these things that are really, really important.
What about back pay? Because I know there are a lot of federal employees that are concerned about the fact that they may not get back pay.
Yeah. Look, I think they should, because it's not their fault that they're not getting paid. But I will tell you that when the Democrats do this thing about shutting down the government, what you're basically doing is you're allowing the administration, actually you're requiring the administration to make every decision while they don't have the money to do what they're doing today, right? And so I just don't like doing that under any case scenario. But it's hard for the Democrats to complain about that when they are the ones who have basically shut down the government, giving carte blanche to the bureaucracy and the administration to figure out now what to do.
Are you hearing anything along the pipeline that negotiations are going to happen in the next couple of weeks?
Not in a serious way, unfortunately, Jackie, which is really unfortunate because all of this, remember, the hard work hasn't even started yet. We have to negotiate the appropriation bills. We can't do that while we're shut down. Let's assume that we reopen tomorrow. We're still having to negotiate the appropriation bills, and that's not an easy task. But the bottom line is that we can't negotiate because we're not open for business. Okay.
I want to turn to Venezuela.
Yep.
Because the U.S. has declared an armed conflict with the drug cartels.
About time.
So you agree with what is happening? I believe at least 4 vessels have been hit?
Yes. Look, the administration declared these narco cartels as terrorist organizations. Some had already been declared, by the way, a handful of them beforehand. But now he's declared a number of others, narco cartels, as narco terrorist organizations, which they are. And think about that. A lot of these cartels.
So they're comparing them to Al Qaeda?
Yeah, with one. But if you actually look at some numbers, I hate to put it in these terms, but I'm an appropriator, right? If you look, these narco cartels have more blood on their hands. They have poisoned more young Americans than Al Qaeda killed as far as Americans, than ISIS killed Americans. Those are terrorist organizations that we've been at war, rightfully so, for many, many years. But for some reason, these narco terrorist organizations have been allowed to murder Americans, poison our young people with impunity. That has to end. And so I commend the president.
Is it legal, though, for him to do that and take such action?
It is absolutely legal. If we're talking about a long, war that requires, months and appropriations, and then that would probably require congressional authorization. But the president already went to Congress and he explained, hey, these folks have been killing Americans. We're not going to tolerate. We're going to make sure that there are severe consequences, and it's about time that we stop allowing the poisoning of our youth with impunity.
And finally, the president has suggested he's looking at all options on the table, including perhaps U.S. airstrikes inside Venezuela. Would you also agree with that?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. Because in Venezuela, it's not a government. What you have is a very large, powerful, rich country that, by the use of terror and force, a narco cartel, the Cartel de los Soles, of the Suns, has taken over that country. It's not a government. They're actually, by the way, there's an elected government. The Venezuelans turned out in droves, elected people to be their president and their representatives, but the narco cartels have not let them take office. So Maduro and his clan, that's not a government. That's a narco cartel that happens to have taken over a major, very important country, something that I don't think can be tolerated.